MakerSnack.
Hello, makers. It's Professor Gallagher, and are you ready to twinkle on the slopes at parties or at the ice rink? Well, then, let's build an app-controlled SparkleScarf, a beginner-friendly no-solder project that's also part of the Blue Fruit School playlist. Hello, makers. In this video, we're going to make a SparkleScarf, and it uses the same code that we introduced in our Blue Fruit School playlist. So we can control this scarf using the free Adafruit Blue Fruit Connect app that's available for iOS, Android, or Mac. And here's a look at this fierce fashion wearable in action. So first turn on your scarf. It lights up in a default color. I've coded the default color to be amber. Then open the Blue Fruit Connect app. You might see the scarf named either Scarf or with a name beginning with CircuitPy. Then press the Connect button. Once you're connected, all of the controls that apply to this scarf are under the controller option. Let's try color picker first. Pick a color, then press the Send Selected Color button, and you should see the lights on the scarf all change. So blue, pink, I'll go back and choose gold, which looks nice with this red scarf. And then if we press the back arrow in the upper left corner and select Control Pad, since this is the same code that we introduced in Blue Fruit School, if you watch those videos, you might know that Key 1 provides an animation called Comet, where a light flashes through the scarf like a shooting star. Key 2 will pulse all the lights from off to fully bright and then back to off again. Key 3 will sparkle the lights on and off randomly, a sort of twinkling star effect, very fashionable. And Key 4 is a wild rainbow unicorn party with 3 different rainbow animations, one after another. Also, as demonstrated in an earlier video, the right arrow can speed up animations, left arrow can slow them down, up arrow will shut down the animations, and if you press up or down arrows, the LED light can either move forward or backward through the NeoPixel strand one by one. So that's a demo of our build. You should find this to be a beginner-friendly no-solder project. Are you ready for an electric look? Well then, let's make something awesome. Now the materials needed to build this project include a Circuit Playground Blue Fruit or CPB, a NeoPixel strand. These come with 20 addressable LED lights on the strand. That's a good amount for our SparkleScarf. And get the 4-inch pitch strand. That places the lights 4 inches apart, which is a good distance for the scarf. A micro USB cable. You'll want to make sure that you get a data cable. If you use a charge-only cable, then you won't be able to properly connect your CPB to your laptop, so make sure it's a data cable. 3 M3-sized 5mm screws with bolts. Adafruit sells these as a bolt-on kit, but you can also find these screws and bolts in most hardware stores. And a 3 AAA battery pack with JST connector and on-off switch, along with 3 batteries. You could also build this with a LiPo rechargeable battery if you're comfortable with the risks of using LiPo. If you do get a LiPo battery, just make sure that you get a charger for that as well. You'll also need an infinity scarf. I chose a maroon faux fur one. They sell online for about $15. A hot glue gun with hot glue. This is how we're going to attach our NeoPixel lights to the grommets. Wire strippers, a screwdriver, and pliers to help screw the NeoPixel strands to the CPB. You'll want 1/2-inch grommets. That's a good size to let the NeoPixels shine through. I like the color of these antique brass grommets. And you'll want a grommet installation kit. These kits allow you to cut the grommet holes and attach the grommets using a simple hammer, so you'll need a hammer. Also, I recommend some additional fabric that you can glue onto the back of the scarf with fabric glue in squares that reinforce the areas where you're going to cut the grommet holes and install the grommets. If you don't do this, then grommets might not hold in a scarf like the one that I used, since the faux fur fabric is pretty thin. And you'll also want some scissors. Now this video is also included as part of the Blue Fruit School playlist on my website, and that's designed for absolute beginners. So if you're a complete newbie, I advise you to go back to the earlier videos and watch, and this will show you how you can set up your CPB so that you load the latest version of CircuitPython on it. In an earlier video, I also showed how to download and install the 7 required folders and files for the lib file that needs to be installed on your CPB. And if you're watching this video and you're more experienced, the folders and files that I have highlighted on screen are the ones that you're going to need in your lib file. Now in an earlier video, I also showed how to connect a NeoPixel strand to your CPB, and just as a reminder, here's the wiring diagram. You want to make sure that you're using the correct input end of your cable, or the signal wire won't control your lights. You want to connect your red or power wire to the V-out pad on your CPB. The opposite or black wire can go on any of the GND pads in the CPB, and the middle signal wire should go to pad A1. And these wires are all screwed on the pads using our screws and nuts. Now you can find the CircuitPython code for this project online at the URL github.com/gallagher/sparkle-scarf, all lowercase letters. You want to find the code.py code, copy it, and then save that to your CPB using the name code.py. Now when you do that with your CPB plugged in, you should see your NeoPixel strand light up in the default color of amber. Now this code is identical to the mason jar light code introduced in Bluefruit School with two minor exceptions. The value num_LEDs is set to 20 since you'll likely use all 20 NeoPixels on the strand in your SparkleScarf. And this value advertisement.complete_name is set to scarf. This should be the name of the project that shows up in the Bluefruit app, although as of this recording, that only seems to work intermittently, but if not, just look for a name that begins with CircuitPy. Now there's also a code walkthrough video in the Bluefruit School playlist, so if you're curious how this code works, you can go and watch that video for more details on the CircuitPython code, but rather than repeat that, let's jump right into the scarf build. First, lay your scarf so that you can plan where your lights will go, and remember the front of the scarf is this side with the fold in it. Now with a 4-inch pitch NeoPixel strand, I put a W pattern on the back of the scarf, and when laying out your lights, you want a little bit of slack in the wire between the lights so that the wires don't pull at the scarf. Then find and locate the seam that's at the bottom of the scarf and use scissors to cut away the stitching so that you've got a hole along the seam that's large enough to pass your hand through. Then use painter's tape to mark where your NeoPixel lights will go. I use two different colors of painter's tape to easily tell the halfway point that indicates the front of the scarf versus the back. And now the pattern that you lay out on the front will be a bit trickier because you need to account for the fold. Just make sure that your NeoPixel strand has enough lights on it for all of the grommet holes that you plan for your scarf. Next, cut one fabric square for each of the grommet holes that you're planning and use fabric glue to glue each square to the inside of the scarf opposite the grommet tape marker. This material is going to reinforce the scarf material where you'll be adding your grommets. Now you don't have to be super precise when cutting these squares since they're inside of your scarf, but do cut the squares large enough so that there'll be enough coverage to add strength to your scarf material. About an inch or so on each side of where you add your grommet should be fine. Now when it's time to cut your grommet hole, use your grommet installation kit. I like to work from the back of the scarf to the front, adding a hole and a grommet one at a time. Now first, reach inside your scarf and find the area with the reinforcing fabric opposite the tape where you're going to add your grommet. Now the wooden square goes at the back of the inside of the scarf. It'll act as a sort of backstop where you'll create a hole through the scarf and the reinforcement fabric. Now the wood should be flat on the table with no extra scarf fabric between the wood and the table that you're working on. Then line up the hole cutting tool with the tape mark where you're going to cut your grommet hole and bang the cutting tool in with a hammer. The tool will cut the grommet through the scarf and the reinforcing fabric, but it won't go through the wood. I give it about 10 to 20 whacks to get a good solid cut, and you should see a perfect circle is cut through the scarf and the fabric. Peel off any painter's tape that you used to mark your spot, and if the fabric didn't cut completely away, you can either fold it back or cut it off with scissors. Now our 1-inch grommets go together like this. There's a side with a long neck, and then there's a matching side without the neck. Now place the ring with the neck through the hole on the outside of the scarf. This is the side that people will see. Now your grommet kit also comes with a metal anvil part that'll hold the outer ring while you bang it closed. So place the outer ring of the grommet in the depression that will hold it in the anvil, and then place the anvil on the table. Then place the matching inner ring, that's the side without the neck, on the inside and around the neck of the other grommet piece. Now make sure that the two sides of the grommet bite into the fabric all around the ring. You want to make sure that that fabric is going to be held tight. Then use this setting tool. It's a bit more pointed than the cutting tool, and position this on the stem, inside the stem, on the neck of the grommet, and hammer it about 10 times. So what this does is it squishes the stem side onto that thin washer side of the grommet so that it holds it in place, pinching the fabric in between the grommet sides, and you want to make sure that that fabric is pinched in tight. Next, you'll want to hot glue each NeoPixel light to the inside of the scarf, facing out to the outside of the scarf, gluing the area around the back of the LED light to the inside of the grommet. Now the wires between the lights aren't attached to anything. 1/2-inch grommets provide a perfect size for the LED lights on a NeoPixel strand, so that when you flip them over, they're nestled in and you shouldn't see any hot glue leaking through. Now I didn't shoot any video of gluing the lights into the scarf, but here's how I did it with the necktie project. Just match the lights up so that the back faces up inside of the back of the garment, then hot glue around the edges of the case that holds the LED. Watch your fingers when you do this, the tip of the glue gun is hot. Now make sure that there's no fabric doubled up on the front side of the garment, otherwise any glue that leaks through might stick parts of the fabric together and you don't want that. And if you need to, you can temporarily hold down the wires between the glued LED lights with painter tape. Just have some patience and allow the glue to set before moving on to the next LEDs. You don't want there to be any wet glue in the scarf when you're moving it around to find the next grommet to work on. Finally, cut a square of fabric large enough to act as a pouch to hold the CPB and battery pack inside the scarf. Then use fabric glue to glue this on 3 sides, leaving an opening on the top side of the square so that you can place your electronics and battery inside. Then you can attach the battery pack to your CPB, switch it on when you're ready to start up your project. I also glued the opposite sides of Velcro strip inside the opening of the hole along the seam, and I use this to close up the scarf, but making it easy to reach in to grab the on-off switch or to switch out the batteries. And that's it! I hope you like the build and that it helps you electrify your outfits, giving you that special glow when you're out at parties or out on the town. Maybe you want to twinkle while you're skating, skiing, or snowboarding. Be sure to like and subscribe, and if you tweet a photo of your build using the hashtag BuiltWithProfG, you'll be in the weekly drawing for a Make Something Awesome laptop sticker featuring Happy Gear. Congratulations, Maker! You're styling.